fines that might get adjudicated against us get paid to a secured party that holds our debtor in lien, so
We'd get the money.
we'd end up with the money anyway. So game, set, match. The law wins, not policy. Policy, company policy. Ford doesn't go over to GM and tell them how to build cars.
That's right.
The government of Canada cannot tell the free man how to run his life, other than no fraud, no murder, no lying.
No harm to a person, no harm to another's property, no fraud or malice in your contracts. The distinction being malice is if you try to contract into. Like if I said, hey, let's you and me go break into this house, or you and me go waylay this poor traveler, that's malice in a contract. You're not trying to con the other person into helping you, you're actually inviting him to help you make a contract of evil.
We have acted in all instances honorably, and they have shown time and time and time again to be acting in total dishonor. I'm thoroughly embarrassed by the court systems as they are now.
They can imagine that they represent us.
I mean, when you look up the word session, you'll find that it has to do with business. Well, boys, that sure says it all, because there's not a thing goes on in that court that they aren't making money on.
That's pretty awesome watching just the look on their faces, though.
I frankly think the judge is starting to realize that we actually are peace officers and are trying to represent the law properly. Now, that being the case, maybe he will start listening to both sides and making the Crown do her work, because if they decide that the Crown should actually do their work, they'll find that there's no charge.
On that note, you know, there's this phrase in the public, due diligence. Now, in the Financial Administration Act and the Bank Act and the Consolidated Revenue Act and a variety of other acts, all the officers are instructed that it is required of them to do a reasonable diligence, and because it is required, it is therefore due. But nowhere in the acts does it say due diligence, but it says reasonable diligence. And when you're talking about taking a person's livelihood, his medicine, any kind of benefit that he's extracting from the ground for his own uses and purposes, not for commercial purposes. Commerce, I don't give a rat's ass how they deal with the commercial aspect of the growth of the kind herb. But the diligence is due to me when you're looking at throwing me in jail, robbing me blind, abusing the hell out of my flesh, insulting my honor, all on the basis of your own ignorance of the rules which are supposed to guide your behavior.
And keep in mind, all this charge are a result of my not wanting to support the black market in our desire to have some herb for my back pain and for Alan's cancer and back pain, and that we've been smoking this herb for
40 years.
30 years in my case, 40 years in his. And I've got doctors, a stream of doctors that all knew that I was using this instead of their painkillers, and they agreed that if this works and their painkillers don't, then I guess I should use this, because there's no point in taking painkillers that don't work, is there?
Throughout chemotherapy, everybody was expecting me to have nausea, but because I do smoke prodigious amounts of cannabis, and now, since then, I've cut back on the smoking and started administering the oil. There was no nausea with the chemotherapy.
I've been doing quite a bit of studying on law, and from my understanding, the highest order of law anywhere on the planet is the protection of life. So, being as how we were using this for the protection of life in the case of Alan's cancer, I would say that we were acting 100% lawfully in the number one order of law. So, how can they not perceive this? It's the case with anybody that has a medical purpose for having the herb in their possession.
So, how did it come that you guys got charged in the first place?
some cokehead got busted, made up a story, some policy enforcement officer saw an opportunity to advance their careers.
And certainly whoever it is all lies and hearsay, because nobody was down there that they could have gotten the word from. I assure you that, because there's only 3 or 4 people even allowed down there, and every single one of them drink beside me on a regular basis, and I can't see it. Just can't see it. There's actually a guy claiming to have bragging about it on Facebook.
On the internet, yeah, Facebook.
And frankly, I'm a little skeptical on belief of that kind of thing, because I know people get framed for stuff, so I'm not going to worry about it. And frankly, I don't care. I just don't care. I frankly think that Alan and I came out to the good for this. So we lost a few plans. There's so much pot in the fucking Maritimes, there's no way you even indented our fucking token for an hour. Oh, excuse me, except the hour we were in the cage.
Yeah. But even that, I mean, we've been in the cage, various cages, and at various. There was one time in Alberta, there was no cannabis to be found on the street. I had to go and visit a friend who was in jail and smuggle out 2 grams of red hash.
Sad but true.
Had to go to jail to get weed.
Sad but true. There might not be as much abundance in jail, but every time I've ever been in jail, the weed has been way better.
Yeah, you don't take shitty weed to your friends.
So the outcome of this is pretty important. I mean, because all law is based upon every judgment upon the other, right?
Well, long and short of it is,
They have no criminal intent.
they have no law. I actually beginning to wonder if they wanted to just announce it to the world, because they brought us to court, because they took 180 from me one other year. They knew it was us. They took us downtown. They planned on charging us, and I told them that my study at that point showed that there was no law. Guess what? The charges evaporated. We never heard from them again. So now they knew that we were already armed with this information, and here we are again. So maybe they're just looking to get a grand ruling from a local judge that says there's no weed law. Because I tell you, we're not keeping it quiet. Everybody's going to know what's going on every step of this trial, and
The court of public opinion will be heard.
yeah, that's for sure. Canada, 65% of the population wants it legalized for recreational use, and it's like 90% for medical use. And it's time that the judges and the policy enforcement officers realize that the people paying their salaries aren't taking it anymore. You can't put us all in jail, because who's going to pay you? You're going to run a 90% population it'll be a prison country. It will not happen. We ain't going to let you do it.
In court, there's 3 jurisdictions you need to attend to. The oath of the Queen to attend to her charges, the oath of the judge to attend to that oath of the Queen, and your oath of allegiance. Now, if you haven't signed a voter registration card and you delivered official notification, even if all you've done is go down in person to the representative and say, you do not represent me, I represent myself, none of the jurisdiction applies.
True royalty walks among the people, and have no fear, because the people are protected by their kings, or queens as the case may be. A good king might want to even sneak off and look like a shabby beggar and go out in the street and make sure that everybody doesn't have anything bad to say about him, because if they do, he might want to change what that thing that's bad said, because somebody somewhere is doing something wrong in his name, because surely he wouldn't be caught doing anything dishonorable. A king doing things dishonorable? I wonder how the Queen acts and wonders every time she sees charges of somebody like myself and my brother, honorable men, being charged with petty laws that aren't laws.
Petty statutes, yeah, petty actions. And
It's an embarrassment to her, it's an embarrassment to the RCMP, it's an embarrassment to the court, and it's an embarrassment to people in general to act that way over money.
I have to cut that out.